you know, you talk about unsavory characters. You say by the year 2007, corruption and the slow pace of change at the village level led to frustration with the Afghan government and its international backers, particularly the United States, bringing warlords into the government, taking a soft stand against corruption, and known narcotic smugglers with high-level connections had created a pressure cooker environment. Now, was the United States, were they letting some of these drug warlords get away with all of this stuff too, Doctor? Or was
Unfortunately, that's the case.
Right.
And there were lots of voices raised to warn and to let the U.S. Policymakers in those days know that the situation was moving in the wrong direction. These people, we want to empower the people of Afghanistan, not these unsavory characters that are oppressing the people. And so those warnings were not heard, and we are in a situation that we are now because of that. If we had heard those, the signals were ample and clear coming out of Afghanistan, and from the people were raising their voices, but there were no receptors, proper receptors to receive those signals. And unfortunately, the situation deteriorated, and there was a blind support for this system from the U.S.
Did it deteriorate whenever we kind of slipped out of Afghanistan and started concentrating on the Iraqi war when that happened?
Yeah, that is a major factor. In fact, that's when I think the U.S. announced victory in Afghanistan and said, let's move to another war without properly paying attention to the fact that those conditions that caused the problems in Iraq were still prevalent in Afghanistan, and the early sides and the early gains were seen as victory signs, and not much was done after that. So that there were some indigenous factors as well, where basically because of lack of rule of law, lack of confidence of the people, of the government in particular, in the judiciary system, which a lot of people moved away from the government, and also as a way of opposing the government, there is an insurgency in Afghanistan, in rural areas, because that's the only way they know how to oppose, because the voices are not heard, and then the only way you can make yourself known is by armed insurgency in Afghanistan, and that has been the history, the recent history I'm talking about after the Soviet invasion in Afghanistan. So
now, let me ask you, we got about a minute before the break here. When President Obama went into office, then again you had high hopes in Afghanistan, right? Or maybe better hopes, or you were looking for possibly things were going to get better, because he said, yeah, Afghanistan is my war.
Yes. Yes, in fact, I'm still hopeful. I'm not pessimist. I'm optimist, and I welcome the re-evaluation, reassessment of Afghan U.S. strategy vis-a-vis Afghanistan. And although I have some word of advice that still we are not here.
Well, you know what? We're coming up on our break, and when we return, I'd like to hear these words of advice that you would have, and this would be for the president, I guess, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you got to say. Dr. Nadir Atash, he's the author of Turbulence. We'll also tell you where you can get a copy of the book. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. My guest, Dr. Nadir Atash, author of Turbulence. And Dr. Atash was one of the first Afghan Americans to return to Kabul and see firsthand the destruction wrought over by 20 years of war. And he helped rebuild schools, revitalize businesses, promote democracy. And he says he could never have been prepared for the turbulence of the following years would bring. And that's the book, Turbulence. Before I get your words of advice there, Doctor, where can the listeners get a copy of the book, Turbulence?
It is they can purchase it online, order it online, and also they can go through Amazon.com and they can get the book.
All right. Amazon.com. They're easy to find. Now then, you say you would have words of advice, and would this be for the President of the United States?
Well, not, of course, I don't want to put myself in that situation, but at least what I have to offer, I'm offering my 2 cents worth of advice. And
I think your 2 cents is probably worth $1.50, okay? So let's go with it.
So thank you. First of all, I welcome the dialogue in the discussion that this president has initiated regarding the policies and the reassessment of the U.S. position in Afghanistan. This is a welcoming sign, and he's going to, as he proclaimed that only after deliberation and extensive discussion, he's going to make a commitment in terms of the new goals and strategies for Afghanistan, which is very good. Now, but I like to offer the following advice. First, he needs to consult more Afghan and see what the views of general public in Afghanistan is. That has been something that has been lacking. The U.S. has listened to only those unsavory characters and special interests in Afghanistan, completely ignoring what the general public in Afghanistan want. And I believe if we move from the special interests and to the general public in Afghanistan, their concerns, their wishes, I think we can forge a policy that is win-win for both U.S. and Afghanistan. Right?
Get away from these people that are strictly out for their own, making the dollar, either after the war or right what's going on right now. Just talk to the regular people. Exactly,
because there are people who benefit from I'm talking about huge sums of money. They benefit and they want to continue this situation instead of trying to move towards peace, stability, and prosperity in Afghanistan. And
before we run out of time, I've got to ask you: is there a possibility? Do you feel that we could pull the troops out? Also, do you think he's taking too much time determining whether or not to send more troops?
Well, I don't think that taking too much time is the issue, because the issue is complex and we want to hear from all sides. And I don't think that just adding troops per se is the solution. The troops coupled with the support of communities in Afghanistan, with the people of Afghanistan, I think can win the situation. Just adding more troops, I think, may exacerbate the problem, because the people in Afghanistan think that the U.S. is there to occupy rather than to come to help them. I think we have to change the modality and the paradigm. There needs to be a paradigm shift in Afghanistan from the U.S. And I hope that this president listens to that kind of an advice and takes it. And I'm talking about the paradigm shift to empower the people of Afghanistan and to listen to the people rather than the special interests and the few unsavory characters that have taken Afghanistan in the international community hostage to their own benefit and their own self-interest.
Yeah, you should just get somebody like perhaps Arnold to get the word to the president and say, hey, you know what, you need to speak to Dr. Nadir Atash and just to get your opinion of what's going on. Maybe he doesn't need to talk to a general, or like you say, the people that have been doing business over there and the shady business deals that you mentioned before that are going on. And it'd be great if he could just sit down and have a beer with you at a table outside the White House there.
I have quit drinking beer for 10 years now. I would have taken off that suggestion before now, but on an orange juice or apple juice, I would love to do that. But I just don't want to promote only myself. There are hundreds of people, Afghan Americans here in this country, and also large number of good Afghans, competent Afghans in Afghanistan, and I'm promoting a strategy, a process to listen to them.
Well, we are...
that's for myself.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. Let me tell you, I want to recommend to the listeners, get a copy of this book, Turbulence, and you'll find out the real inside of Afghanistan and what's going on over there, and hopefully what we can look forward to. Hey, it's been my privilege, Doctor, and we'll do it again. Thank you very much.
I'm really privileged and honored to be in your show.
Thank you, sir. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.